Very good evening, viewers, and thanks so much for staying with us here on India Today. I'm Chaiti Narula. You're watching the Business Today show. Let's begin with the headlines. Questions on electric vehicle safety after 4 e-scooters catch fire in 4 days. Transport Minister insists global standards being followed by Indian companies. 6 airbags made mandatory for all passenger vehicles will be installed in all cars manufactured from the 1st of October this year. Get ready for a big price rise. The Sensex gains for third day, rallies 740 points. Nifty ends near the 17,500 mark, led by realty, auto stocks, metals drag. Axis Bank snaps up the Indian consumer business of Citibank for $1.6 billion. Citi to continue managing its institutional clients in India. The cabinet approves hike in dearness allowance for central government employees and pensioners from 31% to 34%, effective retrospectively from the 1st of January. And our big story today is it's safe for you to use an e-scooter. The past 1 week has jolted e-scooter owners with scary visuals of 4 incidents where e-scooters caught fire and combusted spontaneously. In an unfortunate incident in Vellore, a man and his child also lost their lives at a time when you've got the central government and states pushing EVs as an attractive alternative to petrol and diesel-powered vehicles. What do these incidents really mean for the consumer and the industry? We have this report followed by a discussion with the experts.
Four days, 4 horrific incidents of e-scooters bursting into flames across the country, spooking lakhs of those who either own an e-scooter or are about to buy one. First incident on March 26th saw an Ola S1 Pro burst into flames in Pune. The visuals of the burning e-scooter, which had got over 1 lakh bookings within 24 hours of launch, went viral on social media. The weekend also witnessed a tragedy at Vellore, where an Okinawa Praise Pro scooter caught fire, killing a man and his teenager child. An e-scooter caught fire in Trichy as well, also in Tamil Nadu. The fire was brought under control immediately, but not before the two-wheeler was burnt into junk. The fourth set of visuals are from Chennai, where a pure e-scooter had smoke billowing from it after it caught fire on a busy highway. The hair-raising 20-second long video shows a red scooter with plumes of white smoke enveloping the area. So what's common to all these e-scooters? One, they all have been manufactured by startups. None of the legacy two-wheeler companies have really driven into the business yet. Second, they are all powered by titanium-on batteries, putting the spotlight on their stability and maintenance issues. Vivekanand Halekere, CEO and co-founder Bounce, one of India's largest e-scooter manufacturers, tweeted to explain that battery health is impacted due to a combination of reasons. The central government, which has been pushing the use of electric vehicles, has taken the unprecedented step of getting a defense agency to probe the incidents of external combustion. There is a real fear that these incidents could discharge the momentum of electric vehicles. Bureau Report, Business Today TV.
Union Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari, who has been a loyal proponent of electric vehicles these past few years, arrived at the Parliament this morning in a car powered by new technology. The white Toyota Mirai that brought the minister runs on hydrogen-based fuel cells. However, once inside the Parliament, Gadkari had to address the issue of e-scooters bursting into flames. Let's listen into what the minister had to say about this.
Actually, for the new electric two-wheelers, electric three-wheelers, electric cars, already we have taken decision about the quality, and where we are very much punctual about how we can maintain the safety of the people. And already as far as the star rating, the electrical manufacturer also supposed to make their vehicle up to that standards. And whatever the international standards available in the world, on the same standard, they have to manufacture the vehicle. Either it is electric, either it is petrol, either it is diesel, or either it is on green hydrogen or any fuel they can use. But the safety standards are already fixed.
Chetan Budani is now joining us live. Chetan, since the government announced the probe, 2 more cases of electric two-wheelers catching fire has now come to light. Is there any interim plan by the central government to minimize such cases, and what are your sources telling you on this front?
Oh, well, that's right, Chaiti. When the government announced its investigation and handed over the investigation to the DRDO Armed Center for Fire, Explosive and Environment Safety, 2 more cases have come up wherein the electric two-wheelers has caught fire. When I spoke to my top government sources, they pointed out that if in the interim such cases continue to rise, the government is authorized under the Central Motor Vehicle rules to take suo moto action and officially announce a vehicle recall for all the companies which has been affected in the recent fire incident. However, the bill which was introduced as a Central Motor Vehicle Act 2019, which replaces the 1988 bill, which of course allows the government to officially suo moto issue a recall, in which it is authorized to allow these companies, directs these companies to officially allow and want these companies to get back to the whole package. However, the manufacturer of the recalled vehicle would be required to reimburse the buyers for the full cost of the vehicle and of course replace the defective vehicle with another superior quality vehicle. So these are the 2-3 provisions of the Central Motor Vehicle rules which allows the government to initiate action against these companies.
All right, leave it at that. Thanks so much, Chetan, for joining us with those details right there. We're being joined on this broadcast by Dr. Akshay Singhal, founder and CEO at Log9 Materials. Welcome to the show. Dr. Vivekananda Helekere, CEO and co-founder of Bounce, and Mr. Sohinder Gill, Director General, Society of Manufacturers of Electric Vehicles and CEO of Hero Electric. Mr. Sohinder Gill, coming to you first. You are a manufacturer of e-scooters. Tell us why have 4 e-scooters, not manufactured by you, of course, to make it clear, caught fire in 4 days.
Well, the causes are still not known, but the action should be very clear. And that's from SMEV. What we are trying to do is advise all the people to accelerate the scooters to come back. If they were supposed to come back for service after 3 months, they should be coming back very soon, because every scooter comes back for a free service every now and then, so that the batteries which are on the field, the scooters which are running on the road, they don't become a potential hazard, at least from life and property loss point of view. Otherwise, the rare incidents may happen, but nothing to do with this type of a disaster. So that's the first recommendation. That's also a point where there's a lot of education and awareness which seems to be slightly lower than what it should be between the customer and the dealer, to inform how to take care of the battery, how to make sure that if there is a telltale sign on the battery, it should be immediately reported back, and how to do few things which will make it safer. For example, some of the customers have been found to charge after a run of 40 kilometers in the sun and come back and charge, which boils the battery. So the awareness has to jack up. Service has to be taken care of straight away. All the vehicles on the road are more important. The actions will follow for the vehicles which are in the factory or at the back end.
Very interesting observation and very informative, Mr. Gill. Let's also get in Mr. Vivekananda right there. Lithium-ion batteries are said to be a big reason for these fires. Would you agree? As a battery manufacturer, would you say this is true?
No, not really. I think it's just not about chemistry. It's there are a bunch of things which goes into battery safety. First is the quality of the cells. The second is the BMS. Third is how the cells are packed. And fourth is what kind of charging do you do on this and what kind of power do you draw from this. So it's just not about chemistry. So there were talks that, or it's known that LFP is much safer, but as we know, Ola scooters run on LFP. So it's not just about chemistry. It's more to do with everything put together. The way you procure cells, the way you pack them, the thermal management there, the way you charge them, the way you discharge energy from this. So it's not just one single thing. And or adding to what Dr. Gill said, it also has a lot of things around how you charge them and what kind of chargers do you use. Are they smart chargers which can talk to battery BMS as such and decide how much energy to give, when to charge, etc. So there are a bunch of things. In each of the cases that we would have seen in the news, There can be different reasons because of which it might be happening. And we have been using lithium-ion NMC cells for like almost 3 years now. We've done over 1 million swaps, and we have not seen any incidents. We have done, when I say million swaps, we have done close to about 45 to 50 million kilometers on Indian roads, and we have seen multiple summers. So if you take care of most of these aspects, then we think there is not going to be any issue around batteries. But it's just not about chemistry, or it's just not about cooling or anything of that sort. It's a bunch of things which we have to do it the right way.
Let's also bring in Dr. Akshay Singhal on this. None of the legacy two-wheeler manufacturers have entered the e-scooter space in a big way yet. Do you think technology has matured enough at the moment?
So I think I slightly disagree with what Vivek was saying over here, which is that it is not to do with chemistry. It is to do with chemistry to start with. And it was long due that these incidents were expected, given that we have not taken a conscious so to say analysis, and we're not done a conscious analysis as to what works for the Indian conditions, what kind of battery should be deployed. If I am not wrong, I think Ola was using NMC chemistries, and NMC chemistry has been very prone to temperature condition, different like heated temperatures, and they're very prone to kind of safety risk when the operating temperatures are higher. And obviously, the way we are using these batteries in the vehicles is also important. What kind of BMS is being used, whether thermal cooling has been properly designed into the battery or not, and then obviously operating level issues in terms of how the vehicle has been used and not has been used. At the same time, the customer cannot be blamed for these reasons. While I agree with that proper servicing should happen and we should take care of how these vehicles are being used and awareness should be created with the customer, but it is not customer's fault at all in any case. And the OEMs, the battery manufacturers, and all of us included in the industry, we should be conscious about the choices that we are making at the product design level, the way we are putting them forward in the market, the way we are enabling the charging infra to come up around these things. At the same time, the way we are making the customer aware as to how we should use these vehicles. Coming to your question on is it the right time for the legacy OEMs to kind of come forward and launch vehicles? It is always the right time for more and more players to come and participate in the EV journey. And while these unfortunate incidents have happened, I would take it as a scenario wherein we can learn from the incidents, improve on the products that are coming forward in the market. At the same time, it opens doors for all of us to kind of reevaluate what kind of product and technologies we're putting forward.
All right. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us on this broadcast. Appreciate you taking the time out.
Thank you.
Keeping in mind the safety of passengers, 6 airbags have been made mandatory for all passenger vehicles, even the economic models. 6 airbags will be installed in all cars manufactured from the 1st of October this year. Though making 6 airbags mandatory would improve vehicle crash safety ratings by a lot, the move would make cars costlier and would likely dent the budget car segment. Listen in to what the minister had to say.
Every year we are facing 5 lakhs accidents and 1,50,000 deaths. For that reason, we are now taking a lot of measures. That is compulsory 6 airbags now mandatory, and by which it can be for road safety point of view is very important. We have taken a decision to make it mandatory for economic models also.
We're slipping into a very short commercial break. When we return on the other side of the show, we've got Nabila Jamal with our very own global business editor, Udayan Mukherjee, in our special query segment, Ask Udayan.
A plane with 132 passengers on board crashed in China. Everyone on board is confirmed dead. What happened? How did this unusual accident occur? On the 21st of March, a plane took off from Kunming towards Guangzhou. The plane was carrying 132 passengers. Everything was smooth sailing until the plane started losing altitude and fell vertically to the ground. The plane nosedived to the ground, killing all passengers and crew on board. When a flight's engine fails, the plane's design is structured in a way that it glides to the ground. But in this case, the plane crashed vertically to the ground under 1.3 minutes. But also, around 8,000 feet, the plane briefly ascended and then again dived to the ground. There are many theories around this incident. Many believe it could be a plane hijack. engine failure, or the pilot could have crashed the plane on purpose. But before we dive into unverified theories, let's talk a bit on verified history. This is not the first time a Boeing airline has crashed. In 2018 and 2019, 2 plane accidents killed all on-board passengers. To increase engine efficacy, Boeing redesigned its plane dynamics and called it the Boeing 737 MAX. They also shifted the engine position to reduce the noise. This led to aerodynamic problems in the plane, and to solve this issue, Boeing installed MACAS. But the MACAS did not solve the problem. During the plane crash of 2018 and 2019, due to a faulty sensor, the plane activated MACAS system incorrectly and the nose of the plane dipped down. Boeing did not train pilots effectively to fly the Boeing 737 plane. Later, it was also found by the US Federal Aviation Administration that Boeing never explained the MACAS in detail. The FAA chief, Steve Dickson, acknowledged that both Boeing and the US Air Safety Agency made mistakes on the 737 MAX. Boeing agreed to pay $2.5 million for its fraud conspiracy. FAA chief Dickson conducted a 2-hour evaluation flight of 737 MAX. After almost 2 years of investigation, Boeing 737 MAX was allowed to fly again. Now, coming back to recent incident in China, the flight that crashed was from the 737-800 series and not 737 MAX. What happened during the flight crash in China is still a mystery, but one of the black box from the flight has been discovered. This might just help investigators to find out what really happened.
When it's the world's biggest news story, there's only one gold standard of journalism.
You are watching in
Hello and welcome to Business Today. You're watching Ask Udyan, the show where we answer your questions on the stocks. I'm Nabila Jamal, and with me our very own global business editor, Udyan Mukherjee. The Indian stock market has been riding on Russia-Ukraine crisis, Fed's taper view, and several other triggers, of course. At such a time, how smartly can one adopt a balanced portfolio approach and earn decent returns in the stock markets? To know the right strategy, keep sending in your queries to us at the numbers flashing on your screens, and we will answer a select few on television and online every Wednesday. So here's the question. Let's begin and take some of those queries coming in from viewers. Our first question today is from Chaman Suri, New Delhi, Mindtree. Let's cut across.
Hello, Udyan. Following you for last 4 decades, I hold some shares of Mindtree at 41.20, considering they will do good as other IT company under L&T stables are doing. What are the prospects? Should I continue holding or add more or switch to some other IT company? Please advise.
Well, Mindtree is a good company. I mean, there's no problem with it at all. The problem is that valuations had actually run up quite significantly for not just Mindtree, but most other top-line mid-cap companies in the IT space. And I think the correction that we saw from their tops, I mean, Mindtree too went up to almost 5,000 and then pulled back to 3,500. And of late, it's come back to around your entry price of around 41, 4,200. So some valuation correction has happened. It was overdue. But the company is good, growth is strong, the management is excellent, and they have really quite significant clients in the travel and tourism and hospitality space particularly. So I don't think there is any major issue with Mindtree. Once valuations have got digested and growth takes care of some of those lofty PE multiples, because Mindtree even today trades at about 35, 36 PE multiple, which is not cheap for the kind of 20% growth that is expected from them. No arguments with the company. In fact, one could say the same of some of the other mid-cap names that you mentioned. I mean, whether you look at L&T Technology Services, Tech Mahindra, Coforge, Tata Elxsi, I mean, I think they're all on a good wicket. Demand is strong. So I would say that there is no problem with holding on to something like a Mindtree in the longer term, as long as you can live with some near-term volatility because of the valuation expansion.
All right, here we have A.L. Kishore joining us from Hyderabad. He has a question on Grindwell Norton. Let's hear it.
Hello, Udyan. My question is about Grindwell Norton. With an investment horizon of minimum 1 year, what is your take on the stock?
I would say that for a company like Grindwell Norton, which is a very good company, but you probably need to expand the horizon a little bit. Because the stock has doubled in the last 1 year. I mean, of course, it's corrected 10% from the peak of 2000, but it's still almost a doubler. So given that valuations are now trading at 50 plus PE multiple, you could see some period of consolidation in the company because the gains are behind it and there is a lot of turbulence in the overall market scenario right now. But it's a good company. It's a solid management. Growth is excellent. They have such a dominant position in the abrasives and ceramic space. And given that demand is quite robust from both the industrial and the automotive front, I think Grindwell is a good company for the longer term. So I don't know about the next 1 year because the market situation is such, it's very difficult to make any kind of predictions or expectations for the next 12 months, particularly for a stock which has done so well in the recent past and is quite expensive on all parameters. So if you're the long-term investor kind, I would say with a horizon of 3 to 5 years, then Grindwell Norton is certainly a company worth looking at. Just in the near term, from these lofty valuations, it might be up and down. I don't think you will make a lot of money in the next 1 year from it, but in the longer term, you just may.
All right, and then we have G. Wedya joining us from Mumbai, who has a question on Info Edge.
Hi, I hold 200 Info Edge, purchased at 6,800 rupees. Now the stock has fallen to 4,400. Can you suggest?
No, the problem with InfoEdge is that, yes, you're right. I mean, it's corrected quite a bit. You brought towards the top end of the price because it went up to even 7,500 and fell back to 4,500. I think from a stock perspective, it is linked fairly or unfairly to how some of these new age digital stocks, these new IPOs are doing. Because InfoEdge owns, as you know, some shares and significant stakes in Zomato and Policy Bazaar. And when these stocks don't do well, inevitably it has some rub-off on the InfoEdge counter. And this may well continue till these digital stocks find their feet and start moving up once again. I don't think you will see meaningful outperformance or anywhere near the price that you bought it at for InfoEdge. However, its core businesses are strong. Naukri.com is a dominant player in the recruitment space. And given how the dynamics are of the recruitment space now, with high attrition levels for most IT companies and relentless hiring from them, I think they're in a good space. And Naukri is indeed the bread and butter of InfoEdge. Even their property vertical, real estate vertical, 99 acres is doing quite well. Not as profitable as Naukri, but it's doing well. So I think there's no issue with growth or the core businesses of InfoEdge. But as I said, I mean, till the Zomatos and the Policy Bazaars of the world start performing again, I don't think your stock will get back to 6,800 where you bought it at.
All right, Kunal Gaurav, our next question coming in from Muzaffarpur wants to ask a question on IDFC First Bank.
Hello, Mr. Udayan. My question is regarding IDFC First. It is lagging while Bank Nifty is going up every day. Please give your views on it.
No, I don't think the Bank Nifty is going up every day. It's recovered from the bottom, but it's still a bit of a struggle for the banks overall because I think the market's slowly realizing that it will probably not lead the next leg for the market. The interest rate scenario and the inflation scenario is a little tricky at this point in time. Also, this war situation is such and the sector is very overowned still. I mean, lots of investors own bank stocks up to their necks and therefore there is no great demand which is coming in for that space, which has underperformed over the last 1 year. I think IDFC First Bank is a decent bank, but at this valuation of 1.5 times book, you can find a lot of comparable companies to buy, and therefore there is no impulse as such for the stock to do well. You would have noted that the stock's down 30% in the last 1 year, and I think now from here on it will perform in line with the Bank Nifty. But there are some issues with their MFI portfolio, which might crimp growth or their performance going forward as well in the next 1 year or so. So it's a decent management, and in the longer term, you should be okay. But I cannot say that in the near term, it will either outperform the Bank Nifty or actually reap any great rewards for you in the next 6 to 12 months.
All right, thank you for those questions and thank you, Udyan, for clarifying them. Of course, you do know this is the right place to be. If you want to know the right strategy, keep sending your questions to know more on the numbers flashing on your screens. All right, for now, thank you very much for watching.